Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Morning Meta. I am yours truly, Travis Spencer.
I'm Camilla Crawley.
Camilla,
Yes.
we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. So for community conversations.
That's right. I've been looking forward to this. Everyone is in for a treat today. We have Dr. Kevin Scott with us. And before we get into that and have Dr. Scott let us know a little bit about himself, we're going to start with our seasonal themes. Just to remind everyone, they are turning inward, acknowledgement and acceptance, stillness, rest and reflection, and nurturing, growth and change, self compassion, and grace. So, all throughout this season, our practices and everything we're doing are going to be informed by that. How does that show up in your life? All right. So, again, our guest today is Dr. Ken Scott. And I just want to share a little bit before we hand it over that I met Dr. Scott at a Black mental health awareness event over in Maryland. It was a wonderful event, and he was a part of a panel that focused in on men's mental health. And I just was so engaged and found so much wisdom in what Dr. Scott was sharing that afterwards I said to myself, I got to speak to him, and wanted him to be a part of our community conversation series. So, with no further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Scott so that he can share about who he is and his background in terms of what led him to this point. Welcome, Dr. Scott.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that phenomenal introduction. I hope I can adhere and meet the standard and the bar that you have set. But I just want to just thank both you, Camilla, and Travis for, first of all, not just having me here, but when we did have our conversations at that mental health summit, and you told me what you and Travis had put together and we're doing. I found that so fascinating because I don't even know if you two understand the magnitude of this healing space that you're providing. So I'm just so humbled and blessed to just be here and to share this with you. I come from a military background. I'm a veteran of the Persian Gulf War, uh, honorably discharged, product of an HBCU single parent household. Unfortunately, uh, my mother got her wings in 2024. I have a twin sister that I was raised with, but I recently found out that I have some other siblings who I just met a couple years back and have been uh, building those relationships, and they have been phenomenal. In addition to that, I've worked with justice involved individuals, homeless, those with mental wellness challenges, substance abuse, and suicidal ideations. So it's a strong gamut. I specialize in trauma and recovery, integration, restoration. What do I mean by that? Nice 25-cent long word. People recover. We're recovering. Everyone's recovering from something, whether it's a bad childhood, failed relationship, uh, disobedient children. We're all recovering from something. And I've learned through my lived experience and just through my research that the amounts of trauma that we engage in daily impact us longitudinally across our lifespans in very innocuous and subtle manners. And so I try to bring that out to help people understand why they engage or why we have the behaviors that we do. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. My background. I'm happily married. I have three adult children, four grandchildren, granddaughters. Um, uh, my work is at the VA. Veterans Health Administration, where I work, but I also have my own mentoring practice called the Prices Peer. A lot of some other entities that I just launched my own corporation. So glad to be here.
Mhm. Thank you for that. And is there anything specific that led you to this particular work, or I would say passion?
Mm. Yes, life, if you would. Uh, I always, I am a firm believer. I heard a great, dynamic, anointed man of God say that transparency leads to transformation. That you have to die to yourself in order to evolve, if you would. And I try to make sure that I live that. And what do I mean by that, Camilla and Travis? I simply this: there's a saying in the annals of NA, which stands for Narcotics Anonymous. It goes like this: that the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. And I have taken that mantra, if you would, and used it in my training. So I do a lot of crisis intervention trainings, which I failed to mention with law enforcement and things of that nature. And I've substituted because it can be interchangeable with the therapeutic value of blank helping another blank is without parallel. And I say that as my segue. What got me to this space to answer your question, I am a product of the process.
Mm.
I have, much to my chagrin, made bad decisions. I had some very tumultuous and very dark periods in my life that took me to places I didn't want to go. It made me stay longer than I wanted to stay. But as I began to mature and learn those very difficult and sometimes painful lessons, I understood that that journey was not just for my benefit, Travis and Camilla, but for those that may travel behind me. So I have to build a bridge for that fair haired youth that may come behind me. And I'm a firm believer that we all have a duty to make someone's life better before we leave here in some form, capacity, or another. I truly believe that. And so I really I do this work because I'm a product of the work. I've been homeless. I've been suicidal. I have been justice involved. I have screwed up relationships. I have been an absent father. I've been all of that. And it's hard for black men mentally, for your psyche to put those pieces back together. It's difficult. So I do my work from the heart. I take it very, very seriously because uh, people we lose people in the space, as you two very well know, that everybody does not have, unfortunately, the resilience, and some of it is not their fault. So that's how I got to this space, Camilla. I hope I answered your question, but that's how Dr. Scott got here. And I tell people all the time in jest, Travis, they called me a whole lot of other stuff before they ever called me doctor. You can believe that. And it was all applicable. That's a dig. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, what comes to me is from what you just said is redemption.
ah, whew,
Yes, yes.
man, you about to make
So,
me get emotional, man. Early in the morning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's that
Redemption.
hero's journey. You know what I mean, Dr. Scott? You know,
Yeah.
you move through the things that you've moved through, and now you're an inspiration and leader of the community. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Thank you first. Thank you for that. I mean that. Sure. It's difficult. It is difficult. You know, they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Hmm.
With much knowledge comes much sorrow. with much wisdom comes much pain. So, you know, and it's so funny you said that redemption. I actually use another word with that as well, Travis, is deliverance. Uh,
Yeah.
God really just truly delivered me from a demon that literally tormented me and those around me who loved me for a long period of time. And that's why I always stress being a product of the process, because I know how it is to sit in a space that you know is very deleterious and negative for you, and just be caught in the quagmire of that
Mhm.
quicksand. And you want to get out so bad, but you just really don't know how. And you're in so, I was in so much anger. Uh, I'm telling you, I was at one point in time, I was mad. The sun was up, the grass was green, the water was wet,
Mhm.
my ice was cold. I'm just mad.
Mhm.
And mad because I don't have that inner peace. Inner
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I really appreciate everything that you're sharing right now. And we haven't even gotten to the main event, because already one of the things that stood out to me is you said something around like you have to die, you have to that this version has to die for the other version to sort of
Absolutely.
arise. And it made me think about this visual of like you walking through the fire,
Mm,
Mhm.
because fire symbolizes rebirth.
absolutely.
Fire will tear something down, but it'll tear something down so something new can be reborn. And that's really what stood out from what you just shared. You went through the fire, and then like that phoenix
Mhm.
coming out of the fire. Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
Thank you. Yeah. Through God's grace and mercy, you make a very great point with the symmetry and the metaphor of the fire, because it's purifying. Fire cleanses
Hmm.
us, and you have to really. The fire is going to bring out all your impurities,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's what it is. And you make a very profound statement, Camilla, about there's a gentleman who I went through training with years ago. They call him Doc, out of Arizona. And he said one of the nuggets he gave me, that I've always remembered, that resonated with me, was that you can never leave an old experience until you create a new one.
Mm.
And the reason why I've learned through my own personal experience, and just my research and just dealing with individuals who have crossed my path, and I know for me personally, and this is going to sound insane. I mean, inexplicable, Travis and Camilla, that even for me, people would rather sit in chaos and pain they know
Mhm.
than try to walk in a new experience of happiness and joy that they've never seen,
Yes.
because they know they've developed the skill set to navigate in
Mhm.
that uncomfortable, painful space. Even for me, I had to learn, this is going to sound insane, to smile again. I had to learn how to laugh and appreciate life again, to do something that brought me joy again, because at one point in time, I was not engaged uh, in enjoying life, and getting fulfillment from that, let alone, Travis and Camilla, thinking that I would, to your point, becoming an inspiration for others. It blows my mind when I hear people that I have encountered along this wonderful journey tell me, and you really changed my life. I didn't do it. I didn't change nothing. Trust me. But just knowing people really just appreciate you being intentional and
Mhm.
sincere and genuine, and that's what I try to be when I meet people. I've lost people on this journey, who I was trying to just really help, and it hurts. It's when you lose people. That trauma stays. It stays with you, and as we try to, as professionals, we use our wellness tools. We talk to other clinicians, a therapist should have a therapist. I know everybody has heard that. But yes, the minutia gets on us, and it's important that we practice self-care on a
Yeah.
continuous basis.
Yes, yes. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to, hand it over.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, Dr. Scott, is just give you the floor. So you can take your time to share whatever you'd like with the audience and our community. And afterwards, we'll come back in and have a little bit of reflection. But we're going to
Sure.
give you the floor now.
Well, thank you. As I was preparing for this wonderful, robust engagement with you, Camilla and Travis, I wanted to make sure that I brought something to this wonderful space that I hope can resonate across uh, the aggregate group, just across various populations. And I think one thing that right now we're dealing with when you look at where we're at in this country, we hear the narrative about divisiveness, very politically charged atmosphere and climate. People say it's not been this bad since the civil rights movement, and it's actually some people would even promulgate the narrative that it's even worse. And what I think that we get lost in the narrative is how do we deal with this? How do we deal with the subliminal uh, negativity of hearing this day in and day out? Right now, the elephant is in the room is the whole ISIS incident that took place in Minneapolis. How do we know? How I just want to just put this in perspective. And when we look about mental wellness from a cultural aspect, all right, how does our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, when they hear this story that is being promulgated on every media outlet, what is it doing to them? How are they processing it?
Mhm.
Because trauma is always processed at the level and age of your education. And what do I mean by that? Is mean that if when you hear a traumatic instance or you're subjected to it, you can only use what you've acquired at the time of how long you've been here.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
To process that. So as a child, what fears are being invoked in
Mhm.
me? And which brings me to my second pillar, if you would. How do I, and COVID was a polar example of our deficiency to do this. How do I self soothe and reground myself? What are my emotional, physical, and spiritual anchors? How do I get back to center? And I'm speaking on this from my lived experience because I was so off my square. I didn't even know what the hell my center was.
Mhm.
I invented a new negative center. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes, oftentimes, our traumatic response to trauma, which we live with every day, understand that I think we marginalize trauma, is how do I get back to center? How do I get back when I'm overwhelmed? How
Mhm.
do I get back when me and my partner are not clicking? What do I do with this child? What do I do when I know that I got this bill due? I got to pay the car note, the mortgage or rent. We still need food. Electric bill is 2 months behind. I got a shut off notice for the gas and the water. These things take a toll. Now y'all done took my snap away. Think about
Mhm.
that. So when we talk about this morning matter, if you would, how do we ground ourselves? And I think one of the keys for us, we have to teach ourselves or get back because our ancestors did this.
Yes.
Mhm.
We have to learn how to get back to centering ourselves and tapping into our power, because we are a resilient culture obviously. I mean, come on. We know this. But because we are so distracted by chasing whatever we chasing, acceptance, love, money, power, the job, the car, the big house, we tend to allow ourselves, well, I tended to allow myself to get so disengaged from who I am. And I think uh, back to your conversation is understanding who I am and what my purpose was is another huge piece of what got me back. And what do I mean by that? In simple layman's terms, I deserve better. I
Mm-hmm.
deserve to. I was not raised like to live like this. I deserve better. I ain't supposed to be in this place where I'm at right now. I know better. So I had to get back to making decisions. And everybody that came with you can't go with you. You know, unfortunately, I had to remove myself from quote unquote friends. I read somewhere in a good book that your enemies can come from your very household. Sometimes we got to remove ourselves from family, or at least distance ourselves from them, to put yourself in a situation to win. And that's what I tell young people: put yourself in a situation to win. And another thing for me, uh, realize that if you're the smartest person that people have heard, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you need to expand your circle, uh, because you can never become rich or wealthy hanging around 12 broke people. You're going to be the 13th broke person. Period. 13 broke people, Camilla Travis, can't tell me nothing about investing. I'm
No,
just
that's
sorry.
great.
You can't give me no marital advice and you've been divorced 4 times. I mean, you know, it's just
Yep.
some
Right.
things some information we just cannot take from people. I hate to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but we just
Mhm.
can't. So
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So much is coming up for me
Mhm.
mhm,
from what you're sharing. Um, I'm thinking about Camilla and I when we first began working together in IM. We defined healing,
mhm,
and we defined healing as a return to balance,
mhm,
and that's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
mhm,
Returning to balance in those areas. So, as my the work that I do as a clinician, that's oftentimes that's how I approach supporting people. You know, seeing if they're returning to balance in their lives in
mhm,
those areas. And what I found is that when you begin that journey, then all the things that you need to work through shows up as you begin to return to balance. So I say all of that to ask this question. Um, so you shared this a part of your testimony. Um, what would you recommend to, say, a new father who is getting himself together for his children and for his family as it relates to healing?
relates to healing. That's a great question because that is such an apropos component, and I don't actually. I don't even think you can get to that balance until, or your healing process on the journey to that balance, in my subjective opinion, doesn't start until you do one integral thing, and that's forgive yourself. I had
Mm,
to forgive myself. And that is one of the hardest things for people. It's one of the hardest things to truly forgive yourself.
mhm,
I'm not talking about on the veneer. I'm not talking about a superficial forgiveness. I'm talking about that gut level, visceral, stand in front of that man in the mirror and own it, all of it. You have to own it. I had to own all of it, Travis and Camilla,
Mhm.
before I could ever embark on that journey. So, what I would say to that father, just first of all, forgive yourself. And in that forgiveness, uh, part B would be give yourself some grace. Uh, and what I mean by that, the grace I had to extend to myself was saying, you know what? You were two different people. Same person, two different men. It's that simple. I use this analogy. You take a puppy, and it's all cute when it's a puppy. Then go look at that same animal 2 years later. It's the same animal, but they're two different. They're two different individuals. And I say that because the scripture says, "When I was a child, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child, I behaved like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things." Kevin had to put away childish things. I had to own that I was still engaged in childish behavior. So the forgiveness is the first piece. Give yourself some grace. Before you get to that level of balance, Travis, that you mentioned, which is so crucial, we have to find congruency. And what do I mean by congruency? To your point, Travis, that we have to look at every area that we're deficient in and understand that we're going to have our congruency, our will, if you would, our life will, balance that you talk about. I may be happy with my finances, I may be happy spiritually, but my relationship piece may be not where I want it to be. My social may not be where I want it to be. So understand that we may never, as Maslow said, reach that peak of self actualization. But what I can do and what I did was continuously articulate, put it out there. Hey, I'm not doing well over here, but I am doing well over here. Uh, Pat yourself on the back. I would tell them, pat yourself on the back. Give yourself some praise. Uh, that's important. Positive self affirmations. If you're not telling yourself positive things about yourself, who is? Your lips are closer to your ears than anybody else's. And I tell people that all the time. That's why you don't listen to me, because your lips are closer to your ears than mine. You gonna believe what you saying. You ain't gonna believe what I'm saying, because my lips ain't as close to your ears as you are. I tell my wife that all the time. Ain't no sense in me telling you you ain't listening to me. No, you don't listen.
Yeah.
And another one, I'm gonna give y'all this nugget too, Camilla and Travis. Y'all can use this. It ain't mine. I stole it from somebody, so I'm gonna give it to you all. I tell people this all the time. You're either gonna have patience or you're going to be one.
Mm.
I had to learn patience. There's a lot of people out there who want their healing to be instantaneously, and sometimes it's not. And in addition to that, Travis and Camilla, I think another skill set that may help a lot of individuals is we have to learn to utilize the skill of moving on without closure. What does that even mean? What do you mean by moving on without closure? Sometimes we're not going to get that fairy book ending or that hallmark ending where everybody's happy and sings kumbaya and rides off into the sunset and life happy ever after. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. Uh,
That's true.
I had a situation just recently, several months back, where I was called out to a very difficult situation, and it did not end the way uh, that we wanted it to, and it was very traumatic. And I had to give myself some grace. I had to forgive myself, um, because sometimes we can do things by the book as parents, as wives, as husbands. and things still don't end the way that we envision them. And so we have to move on without closure, uh, and understand that uh, new life lessons are on the way, are on the horizon. And it makes us stronger, it makes us resilient in that next chapter in our lives. So um, I am so grateful, Travis and Camilla, not just for being here with you two, but even in this setting, uh, we underestimate the therapeutic value of having these types of dialogues with people,
Mhm.
to give ourselves, again, some grace, to give ourselves some credit, positive self affirmations, just to be invited here is such a humbling uh, and an honor. And I feel compelled, it is my duty, hopefully, to bring a word or to say something that somebody can take and use and put it in their wellness toolbox, because that's what I did on my journey. When I ran into across someone who inspired me or motivated me, I made sure that I took that and incorporated it into what I wanted to do or what I was trying to do. Because we can't model what we don't possess. I can't be happy if I don't know what happiness looks like. And my
Mhm.
happiness ain't happiness for Travis or Camilla. And it's definitely not, and our happiness, Travis, as black men, looks totally different from Camilla's as a black woman. So it's not only gender based and culture based, but it's gender based as well. So we have to understand there is myriad layers to healing. Myriad. I mean that those layers of that onion. Once we peel them back, and we think that we've healed from something. I know myself.
Mhm.
Only to years later be like, I thought I had dealt with that.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm back with these same damn feelings I tried to get rid of
Hmm.
3 years ago. Now I want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, out the blue. I mean, just out the blue. Even myself, wake up and just be in bad space. Nobody ain't. I mean, just what's going on? You know what's going on? Knowing your triggers. Knowing your triggers. I tell people all the time, a routine, having a routine. Because what you all are doing, Travis and Camilla, you are setting up a routine where people come in this space, and this is how they start their day. This is how they start their morning, and they go get it.
Mhm.
Myself, I have a routine that every morning, for the most part, I've been deficient lately, but I get up, I go walk 2 miles, and I get on my spiritual inspirational call through my fraternity, the greatest fraternity in the world, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I listen to that prayer call, and I start my day off with that, surrounded by people who are bringing me good energy.
Mhm.
You can't start your day off negative. It's downhill from that. Or
Yeah.
put it this way, it's very difficult to shift that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're right about that.
Yeah. Um, I'm listening to you, and a couple of things. The first is, how would you define healing? Because just like you said, happiness can
Mhm.
look like something different from everybody. And I think about healing in terms of how people define it. Different people can define it in different ways. So, what would be your definition of healing?
That's a great question. And I love it because you use happiness and healing. A lot of people think that because I'm happy, I'm healed. That is not the case. You can be happy and still haven't healed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you the difference. Healing, happiness is in the moment. I'm happy right now. Healing is long term.
Mhm.
When you heal from something, you have you have taken the time to first acknowledge that you were hurt by it. You have allowed yourself to go through that process of whether it was grieving, reflection, rejuvenation. And then what you've done after that, if you've devised an intentional and individual plan for you, listen to what I'm saying, Travis and Camilla, for you. Your healing must be for you. Let me be even more transparent. After I have embarked on my journey by God's grace and mercy of restoration, I had to go back and try to make amends and apologize. And I went about it the wrong way. Sometimes we try to buy back our value. Uh,
Mm.
so to that new father, Travis, I would tell him, you can't buy back your place, your status in the household. That is done through behavior.
Mhm.
And I had to tell people very close to me, listen, you not gonna hold me hostage by my past. Now I understand the last memories I gave y'all wasn't pleasant. I
Mhm.
get that. But when we talk about healing, Camilla, Kevin had to heal from that. And the healing to what it looks like I'm no longer doing and or reacting to the situation or circumstances that caused me the pain.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, when you heal, Kevin can go back to those places now where I shouldn't have been, but now I'm not injured by them anymore. Do you hear
Mhm.
me? Do you hear what I'm
Yeah.
telling you?
Yeah.
So that's when your healing looks like. When people look at you and don't see your hurt anymore because that fire has consumed it and purified it.
Mm.
Mm.
You walk with a new light. You walk with a different step when you're healed. And then you can bring a word in season to someone who's weary to provide that inspiration for them. And then when you tell them, because I've been there, they look at you like, what? Really? That's what healing looks like. And it's like you, to your point, it's so different because we all heal differently. The three of us could be subjected to a event. Might not affect Travis. Camilla, you might deal with it for a couple months, but then it might deal with me long term. And everybody like, why? What's taking you so long? Because we don't know how we respond
Mhm.
to certain things. What may seem trivial to you may be a magnitude to someone else. So I tell people all to be very careful. People's feelings are valid, and I made that mistake and told my wife her feelings were valid. She never let me forget that. I told her, you said my feelings were valid. I said, yes, I sure did. That was my mistake. I should have never told you that. But people's feelings are valid. You can't be mad at how they feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I
you know,
um I wanted to kind of lean in on something that you mentioned. So you define healing. You gave us some experience, some of your own experience, and you
mhm,
mentioned accountability. So one of the things is that you're holding, hey, I'm not going to be held hostage by my past. I'm not going to let it consume me. And at the same time, it seemed like there's some holding of accountability that has to do with the past. So how would you say someone could start the process of being able to do that in the healing journey, in terms of, yes, we know we don't want to live in the past, but at the same time there's some accountability in which you did in your journey, but for other people who may be trying to figure out, well, how do I even go about that, because it's like it's hard for me to go back there, but at the same time I do need to take accountability for some of those things back there.
mhm. Ooh, I don't know if my wife just texted you or what, but I feel like you set me. I feel like I've been so set up, Travis. I'm gonna have to hold you accountable too, man, because you ain't text me and say this question about to come, Dr. Scott. Get ready for it. Camilla, let me tell you, child, girl, you know what I'm saying? Look, that accountability piece it's so uncomfortable.
Mm.
And You have to be so willing
Mhm.
to be held accountable because now you owning it. I'm owning this to your point to have to go back and understand that I may have hurt some people and even damaged some people. I may be damaged and don't even know how to articulate that. So now my only defense mechanism is being angry all the time because I don't want to deal with the uncomfortability. So being held accountable, I tell people you may have to find you somebody whose opinion you value that's gonna piss you off and keep you
Mhm.
accountable because once you start holding that, keeping track, as Deion Sanders said, keeping receipts. Ooh, I mean, there is no easy way to get around that. Being accountable, having people hold you accountable, I tell people it's imperative, but it's not easy. My
Mhm.
wife was my accountability partner, and she kept it 100. Uh, can't nobody push your nuclear button other than like your spouse or your partner and your
Mhm.
kids. I'm trying to tell you, they
You're
can
right about
push it.
that.
Come on, straight nuclear launch. And you have to. Man, it's tough. It was tough for me. It was tough for me. It was tough for me. It was tough. But to your point, Camilla, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to
Mhm.
be willing to be vulnerable. And it's not in a accusatory or guilt type thing, making you feel guilty or anything like that. And that's what people misconstrue, that you're trying to make me feel guilty or talking down. No, it's not that. But if you want to get here, and you said you want to get here, I'm just pointing out some chinks or some deficiencies in your program.
Mhm.
You can't say you want a job, but you sleep until 12 and you ain't putting in no application. You don't 6 7 as they say now. What you doing? What's I mean what you the two they're not adding up. They're not adding up. So and a lot of times when we're really on our journey to healing, Travis, the accountability will show up because we're making ourselves accountable. And
Mhm.
timing also plays a very integral role. And what do I mean by timing? Is that sometimes we're just not ready. We're just not ready because we haven't went through that process of healing, that patience, uh, giving ourselves grace uh, to deal with uh, the pain in that process. So as we mature and go through that maturation process, I know for me, uh, the fox was worth the chase, but it's at times it's not going to be quick or expedient. Sometimes it's going to take a little while, and it's perpetual, meaning that it's not stagnant. It just doesn't stop.
Mhm.
We continue to heal from all types of things that show up when we least expect it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I'm hogging up because I have just so many things. So I already know that we'll be asking you to come back again because
Oh,
I have so many things that I want to continue to talk about. But I know um, that one of the things, I know you and Travis can probably really lean into this, is when it comes to vulnerability and getting on the path towards the help. So oftentimes we can say, oh, yes, we need healing and go to therapy and do all these things. And for some people, just getting to the point of asking for help or getting to the therapist or the counselor is very challenging. So I was thinking about how does what goes on with people in terms of suppressing
mm,
emotions and things like that, which can be very common depending on, again, culturally,
mhm,
your background, your own home environment. So that's one part of it, is really talking about this suppression of emotions, and then also talking about the connection between courage and being vulnerable. The fact that it takes courage to be vulnerable. So we have a couple of things going on, and I'm really pointing to you and Travis because, as you said, when it comes to these topics with Black men, men of African descent, there are
Mhm.
some very unique things that go on there when we talk about suppression of emotions and the courage it takes to be vulnerable. So if you could just speak on whatever's coming up for you around those things, both of you.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Travis? I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you lead. I'll lead into this first, and then I'll say what's on my mind.
Well, as Camilla was sharing that, the first thing that came to mind for me was 1619.
Hmm.
Thinking about the first Black men being kidnapped and brought to America, and not being able to protect their children, not being able to protect their wives and the women in their lives, and having to submit. So you're being pushed into a corner, and oftentimes when a man is being pushed into a corner in that way, um, he has issues with showing emotions. So when you talk about us, now we are healing our ancestors.
Hmm.
So I see my healing journey now is a part of the healing of the ancestor, and also so that my children's children um, can benefit from me healing now. So to answer your question, Camilla, to me it feels like um, there if you're on the journey and there's a man who is trying to get there, there's a tremendous amount of patience that is necessary and needed as he comes to the light,
Hmm.
hopefully. And sometimes it you know the journey is too great for some people, and they may have to do it in their next lifetime. you know that's what comes up for me in this moment.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful. And uh, what you've just said, Travis, is actually we're talking about epigenetics, and we're
Mhm.
talking about the longitudinal traumatic effect of the transatlantic diaspora, of that kidnapping, of that heinous black male emasculation,
Mhm.
to where we are stripped of every fiber, sinew, and neuron of our black male masculinity. And so when you talk about what do you think, it is it is so difficult. And you're right, Camilla. Uh, the irony of it, if you would, is the fact that asking for help is one of the most courageous things that an individual can do.
Mhm.
However, what I've learned through my own experience and the individuals whom I have encountered on this journey is three things. Men, and especially men of color, won't ask for help, won't give help, and they'll say they don't need help. For us to feel to ask for help is something that is so almost taboo.
Mhm.
And the reason why that is so taboo, uh, in my opinion, is because we have not been allowed to not only express our emotional disconnect, but we don't even know how to articulate it.
Mhm.
I.e., the only emotion that we as black men have been programmed to display is anger and aggression. And that's how we're portrayed. It's in our music. we're given that quote unquote violent narrative, this thing of that nature. But a lot of us are afraid, scared, angry, mad, sad, afraid, and ashamed. We don't know how to articulate that. So we only go to one mode. We insulate ourselves and protect that because you're not going to cause me any more pain and you're not going to bring out these feelings that I perceived as weak or soft or the other very negative adjectives that we use to describe men uh, who are vulnerable or who make themselves vulnerable. So that's why, Camilla, that it's very difficult uh, for us because we do have a lot of trust issues as men. And in addition to that, Camilla, could be you tapped on something, but if you were to take a deeper dive into that, also when you're dealing on top of that, when you add mother woundedness, abandonment issues, relationship hurt, who am I going to go trust? Uh, who am I going to? Who can I go talk to? If I feel that as a child, the person who quote unquote birthed me, and I'm talking about both biological parents, if I did, if I have not bonded, if I don't have that attachment, that attunement and synchronicity, and that right brain to right brain, intermittent repair, if that never existed, how am I going to go to someone, a complete stranger, and share my intimate thoughts that I sit alone with in my room when I'm crying? How am I going to tell someone that? And especially what if they don't look like me? Now you really asking me to sit in some space that I have no clue what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I say I shaded that.
Ashe, amen, plastic, pass the plate, do all the
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, and I'll say this as well, because we talked about that healing journey. I told you it's independent, it's individualized. Do not, and I'm saying this to our audience and to you and I said, we cannot go into a space thinking someone is going to fix us or heal us. That is not their job. Healing must come from within. It must be on your own.
Yes, yes. That is a powerful and
Yes.
profound way to kind of put a button, a bow on everything, that it must come from within.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Well, Dr. Scott, thank you so, so much for
Oh,
sharing all of your wisdom, allowing us in the community to connect with you as well. And before we get out of here, have our three statements that now we're asking all our guests. Like sentence stems that you're going to finish. I'll give you the first part, and you just finish the statement with anything that comes up for you. So it doesn't have to be anything long, just the first thing that pops into your mind. So the
sure.
first one is, oh wait, let me get the statements pulled up here and see if I can find them.
There's another pop quiz that Travis didn't text me. I'm trying to know I definitely know it's a conspiracy now.
Yes.
Okay, I think this is it here. Yep, here they are. So the first part of the sentence is healing for African American and other communities of color looks like, and you finish that?
Looks like collaborative involvement with intentionality.
All right.
Uh, yeah.
The second one is community to me looks like.
Looks like peace and acceptance.
And finally, joy to me looks like
smiling in both my heart and my face in the morning.
mm, Ashe. Ashe,
Ashe.
I like that.
Yes.
All right. So, is there anything that you want to share with the audience, whether it is website, any other ventures, or anything like that? You can do that now. We're going to also put all of your information into our newsletter that goes out to the community as well. But you can share some things now if there's anything coming up for you.
Thank you. First, let me just say this because I would be egregiously remiss if I didn't thank you, Travis and Camilla, for having me on this great space. I think this is phenomenal. What I am is doing. It is so important uh, for our people to continue to understand how their value. Just that simple.
Mhm.
Um, you can go to my website at it's called the Crisis Peer at www.thecrisispeer TheCrisisPeer.com. I mean the Crisis Peer TheCrisisPeer.com. TheCrisisPeer.com. And in the upcoming months, I will be speaking at a Black Men's and Conference Union for the UAW. It's actually my third annual time speaking there about mental health. I'll be doing that in February. I'll also be speaking at a veterans law forum at the University of Detroit Mercy regarding the intersectionality, if you would, with veterans and law enforcement from a veteran peer perspective. And then in April, I have been honored uh, to serve as the keynote speaker for the state of Michigan annual My Peers conference. So that's what I have going on in the near future. So I'm looking forward to that, and I've also been asked to uh, write a chapter in a book that's coming up that addresses actually the environmental traumas that affect the Black community.
Mm,
Mm.
nice, nice. Looking forward
Yes,
to
yes.
hearing more about that.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So, any
So,
final words from you, Travis?
well, really quick, I'll like to say for those who are listening, to put in the comments any questions that you have. We'll definitely make sure we get those questions to Dr. Scott for you, and continue to share and like and subscribe to I Am Life. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Hope that you were able to find something in today's conversation that you connected with, that resonated for you, and that will support you in this continuous healing journey that we're all on.
Mhm.
And as always, continue to join us each and every day where we're going to start intentional, grounded, intentional, and connected. Ashe.
Ashe. Yes.
I say.
Yeah.